السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. بسم الله الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين. Dear students and brothers, I hope you are all doing well. As we have had discussions on the lecture leading in motivating in the previous two lectures, this is a series of the same lectures, and we will be continuing explaining these two terms and some of the steps that are involved within it or in it. We have discussed leading as a something that takes people or employees into success, that leads them actually into success. Leader, actually the one who is leading, actually is analyzing the current situation of the organization and comparing that situation with what that person or that leader is desiring for, and developing a strategy based upon that. Later on, the leader is making harder decisions and having enough courage to actually take the risk. We have talked about the positive relationship of risk and return. We say the more risk you take, the more return you gain. The next part was the part of the change, that the leader should work as an agent for the change. We discussed the motivating. We said it's an equal important factor for a leader to have a motivation to motivate his employees. If you do not motivate your employees, if you do not give them energy and enthusiasm and positive mind, the workflow or the return would not be better enough, and the employees would rather feel dissatisfied and tired and bored. We talked about some of the factors that motivates the people who are actually reporting to you. We are actually focusing in the organizations on the people who are reporting to us, or in other words, with whom we have work and contact. So the first factor that could motivate people is to ask them, to give them time, space to talk, to share his concerns, to share his queries, and maybe these queries would serve as an answer for the current problems available in the organization. The same example could be applied in a political situation in a country which is going through a turmoil. The most important thing that could serve better is to give time to the government employees, to listen to them and to take their advice in consultation in regards to the political dilemmas and problems. So sometimes their answers, when you ask them, their answers may serve as a roadmap for addressing the problems that are available in the country or in the organization. The next part, we have just started to discuss what's getting people on what's important, to work on what's important. You see, we talked about two things: the routine activities or the daily activities, along with the important activities. In the time management, when you focus on time management subject, you would find out two important factors. One is the one is the routine activities, one is the important activities. So when there are routine or daily activities that you perform each and every day, for example, as a human resource manager, you check the attendance, you check the salary stuff. As a finance, you check the daily expenditures. You have a petty cash book or a cash book, you handle all those stuff. But as sometimes you will be given an important task that is more important than the daily activity you perform. So you have to give them priority. شما باید اولویت بدیم به کارهایی که از top management یا از لیدر شما بر شما داده شود. امیر باز شما important activity میگیم. دیگه اول مسئله که اینجا صحبت شده یا سرش ما بحث میکنیم این است که میگه که focus on your team's effort on the work that will make the biggest contribution to the organization. You see, the important thing for a leader is that he has to build teams. You know, if you are hiring an individual or two people and there is no proper team, there is no leader in the team or no team for example, team captain is available, that contribution would not work because everybody would do anything they wish, but there is no one to manage these people, to organize these people, and to put their work together and make a result out of it. So the first thing as a leader we need to do is we need to develop a team, we need to make a team and hire a captain for the team. So we can approach all the members of the team through the captain. The more we make the team captain happy, the more the team would have good results, or the team will be giving good results. So it says we have to use goals in order to focus on the organization's priorities. You know, when we have goals identified after developing a vision, mission, and strategy, then we have a proper guideline for the goal. If there are goals available, then we know what are the organization's priorities. We should not stick in the priorities that are not part of the organization's goals. So what is important to us is to focus on the goals. Pretend that your organization have 5 goals to achieve, and there are, for example, 5 goals to achieve within 1 month, for example, which is a part of the vision that the manager or leader has set out for the organization. So what you are actually doing is, or what you actually have to do is, you have to distribute those activities and divide the goals into action or work plan and give it to each other. So everybody in the organization would know this is a priority, along with the other routine activities that I am performing. I have to give priority to what has been given to me by the top level management, because this is a part of the goal that we have. So that's one point out of this from this context. When you assign and prioritize work, take the time to explain why it is important. You see, you have assigned the work that should be prioritized, the work that is important, then other works that are on the table to the employees. Now you have to let each and every person to understand why it's important. If they don't know why it's important, they wouldn't work on it. So there has to be an explanation. It's not important the leader himself explains it. It is important that maybe the team captain would explain it. یعنی همون اولویت‌هایی که کارهایی که ما باید اول انجام بدیم، همون خاطر ما باید دیگرها را، کارمندای فرش تربیت بکنیم و را باید اکسپلین کنیم که چرا یک کار بر ما از کارهای دیگه قدم مهم است. دیگه بسیار مهم است که اگر وا نفهمن و کار نمیکنن، وا را باید ما شما از یک طریق و دیگه طریق بفهمن. Help your employees prioritize work to focus on the important tasks. That's the same thing. You are actually explaining to them, you are now helping them. حالا امروزشان هم کاری کنید، برشان بگین که این کار مهم است، یک قسم انجام میشه. So you have to bring their focus on the important work. You see, this is like in a picture you could see this. This is a leader, he is looking forward and he has assigned people to do a particular work that he is desiring, or he is trying to help them to do that. So not only explaining to the employees the important activities, but also helping them to perform the important activities and put their focus on those tasks that are important for you and for your organization, because it's a part of your goal, because it's within the vision framework, and it is much more important than anything that you have in the organization right now. Okay, so that was the first part. The second part of getting people working on what's important. The first one was find out what motivates them. The second one, as I said, that there is a problem in the numbering, so that's the second one. Get people to work on what's important. The third one is explain and train. We have just talked about a few points here. You see, this thing differs country to country. For example, you are working in a country, in a developed country. Take example of Turkey. Take example of Qatar. Take example of some of the European countries which are developed. where people are educated. So you wouldn't need to explain each and everything to the employees in the organization. You would only give them a hint. You would only give them the strategy, the plan, the concept note, the plan or the business plan, and you would need a very simple and a very short training to give them, and that they would be able to approach those works. They would be able to work on them, and they will be able to understand those activities, and they will start working on them. And this is why vice versa in our country. Why it is opposite? Because in our country the ratio of education is very low. Let's say that there are people who are literate, but the literacy rate is not as high as to those countries we just took example of. That is why in Afghanistan you would need to explain. I was reading one of the notes from the Americans who were working in Afghanistan as military commanders, and some others as a businessman who wanted to start businesses in Afghanistan. So that person actually wrote to the Americans that if you want to go to Afghanistan, if you want to do a business in Afghanistan, the first thing you need to do is you have to be very friendly with people, and you should explain each and everything to Afghans, because they do not understand simple words. They do not understand things in shortcuts. I'm not blaming my countrymen because of the war that has been going on in our country, because of the lack of understanding of people due to the war, due to the lack of education facilities. And inshallah, our people are very much hardworking, and with time period, they would be very well educated and literate. Inshallah, we are hoping this. So my point was this, that sometimes you need more explanation to be given to the employees, and they need more training in order to properly understand that particular vision and those goals and those important activities to be performed. So the first thing we need to do is we need to make sure that the employees have the skills and knowledge to do the work effectively. Whatever work you are delivering to them, you are submitting them, they should have enough skills and knowledge to do the work effectively and efficiently. So that skills could either be available from past with the employees. Some of the employees may have those skills in them, and that would be a positive and a plus point for us. But sometimes they don't. So if they don't, so you have to do is you have to teach or train them. If there is a problem of understanding that work and they do not have the knowledge of it, then the basic thing is we have to train. The training and development is a very important department that we need to have. If we do not have the department, we can have somebody from the organization to train the employees who are coming new to the organization. Because if you do not train them, they will not understand what they have to do. So that is very important. The next part is delegate with appropriate planning and training. Now you have delivered the skills, you have delivered some knowledge to them. Now you have to develop a proper planning for the training that you are providing to them, and itself there has to be a proper planning that how the employees should work. So each week you have to, for example, find out some time to share the knowledge you have as a leader to the employees. It is not always important that you make a class and you say, you see, every day we have like a 2 hours class, and I will be discussing with you the issues related to, for example, human resource management. Sometimes you can make for example, a meeting where everybody have tea, and you call up your employees. شما کارمندا رو میخواین امروزشون میشینین، حسین کارمندایی که نو آمدن امروز شما مثال به هیومن ریسورس دیپارتمنت کار میکنن دیگه، شما پرسان میکنین از پیششون که به نظر شما ببینین این خودش ترنینگ هم میشه و یک چیزی میشه که خودت هم یگان چیزها را از یا شاید یاد بگیری. برشان میگین که به نظر شما یک دیپارتمنت خوبی هیومن ریسورس چی است، یا از تدارکات یا از کدام دیگه دیپارتمنت که شما میخواین صحبت بکنین. دیگه کارمندا شروع میشن هر یکشان نظر میتن. یک نظر شما که خود نوت میکنین، دیگه نظر نوت میکنین،
باز هم چیزی که شما میخواین برشان بگین او را بگین. خب یک فضای بسیار باز میمانه و هر کس خوش احساس میکنه، خوشی احساس میکنه در اصل، به خاطری که شما برشان فرصت ارائه کردین و تانیستن که نظریات خود ارائه بکنن. سو یک نفر براتون نظر گفت، شما او را تشویق بکنین. be a motivator as it says here. تشویق کنین که ماشاءالله بسیار خوب نظر است، بسیار خوب. از یک دیگه نفر پرسان میکنین، میگین بسیار خوب، نظرتان بسیار جالب است. و یگان نفرها رو میگین که نظرتان بسیار جالب است، ما به این خاطر که خود میگیریم. well done. you see ای برنامه ما چند کار کردیم. یکی که موتیویشن شد که همون چیزی که ما میخواستیم که به دست بیاریم. دیگه چیزی شد که کارمندا ترین شدن. 20 کارمندا هست، هر یکشان یک نظر میته، با همون 19 نفر دیگه مفید است. حتی یگان وقت به خودت مفید است، یگان نظریات جالب. بعد از او که همگی صحبتایشان خلاص شد، شما نقاط امرایتان یادداشت کردیم، هر یک نقطهش میگین که مثال احمد جان که گفت، علی جان که گفت، عمر جان که گفت که این نظر است و من نظرشان را تایید میکنم و فقط یک دو سه نقطه را به اساس تجربه که ما دارم، دو سه نقطه را ما دیش اضافه میکنیم. دیگه نقطه اول، نقطه دوم، نقطه سوم دیگه ای تو شد که اون نفرام تشویق شدن. هر یکشان قوام ای را فهمیدن و درک کردن که ای رئیس ما، مسئول ما یا هد ما بسیار آدم چی است، با حوصله هست. He is giving us time, he is open, he is frank, he is honest, and he is listening to us. And then you have to keep and apply the same things, the same strategy with all other employees and with the employees on the basis of the need and necessity. You see, we have done two things. We have explained things, we have trained them. Sometimes the training could be in form of a physical class. You make a class, for example, each day for 1 hour, each week for example only 1 day a week for 2 hours, 3 hours. وارا یک 3 ساعت پیش میخواین یا بعد از 4 بجه برشان میگین که شما یک چند دقیقه که ما بشینین که ما شو فلانی که نو آمده که رئیس یک تعارف هم میشه و ضمناً یک کلاس هم میشه و یک قسم میشه که رئیس سورا کلگی مردم ها را کسایی که نو آمدن کارمندا را در دفتر خود میخواین، هم قسمی که گفتم چای برشان میمانن و یک ترینینگ واری کندکت میکنن دیگه. this is very important. دیگه یک فایده قسمی که گفتیم که از یک فضای دوستانه جور میشه، دیگه فایدهش شد که ترینینگ میشه. ضمن یک مسئله دیگه از پلانینگ. پلانینگ ما اینجا 2 هدف گرفته میتونیم. یکی خود پلانینگ به خاطر ترینینگ است که کارمندا که نو میآید وارا ما شما چه قسم ترین کنیم. یکی مسئله میآید، یک سوالی است که او را ما چه قسم ترین کنیم. او را ما شما صحبت کردیم که به شکل هفتهوار میتونیم، روزانه شاید کم ذره ثقیل‌تر شود چون مردم خسته میشن، کارم میکنن تا 8 ساعت 7 ساعت کار میکنن. این کم ذره شاید خسته کن بیای. میشه که هفته یک روز 2 روز یک کلاس جور کنین که اوجا تختم باشه و پروژکتور و چیزا باشه و یگان چیزا رو شما عملاً برشان نشان بدین به کارمندا. این یک روشی شد که فیزیکال کلاس باشه. دیگه ما شما گفتیم که یک کلاس دوستانه اینفورمال کلاس شده میتونه که در اداره مثال رئیستان باشه، خود رئیس به مردم در قصه و در گپ و در سخن و در این چیزا با شما یگان چیزا رو میگه، با شما اگر نوت میگیرین نظریات شما رو میشنوه. دیگه این یک طریقه دیگه شد. آنلاین هم میشه، قسمی که ما شما ولی آنلاین صنف داریم، همین قسم آنلاین میتونیم که صنف ترتیب بکنیم، از خانه بگیریم، تجارب خود شریک بکنیم کتی کارمندای خود. این یک طریقه دیگه شد. یک طریقه که دیگه مردم استفاده میکنن ای است که کارمندای خود مثال اول که هایر میکنن یک چند روز مسلسل 5 روز 7 روز 1 ماه تا 1 ماه وارا مسلسل میگن که شما کار نکنین، فقط ببینین و یاد بگیرین. این هم یک روش خوب است. نفر سابقه که در این پوزیشن بود یا که زور میشانه برش میگه که امرایشان کمک کنین، یا مثال یک نفر دیگه است به او میگه که امرایتان میباشه از شما کار یاد میگیره تا 1 ماه که تا که خدا بفهمنه. این یک روش دیگه است. روش 4 یا 5 همی است که we are actually giving time to the employees to read from internet, to read from various sources, from books and etc., which I believe is not a very good source. Because you see, organizations are not academic places, business organizations. They are actually professional places where experience is very much important. In academic areas, you can learn things by personal reading, in personal instructions that you take from internet and other places. But in professional organizations, in general organizations, it's important to give them practical experience. کار عملی را باید یا انجام بدن تا که بفهمن. به خاطری که او بازفایده‌ش است که و میتونن که در کم وقت خود زود برسانن و اگر بخوانن یا گنجه نمیفهمه، درست نفهمه، امی مهارت‌های مطالعهشون خوب نیست، دیگه زیاد مشکلات پیدا میکنه. دیگه کتی کارمندا، اگر ما شما به کارمندا فرصت بدیم که امرایشان بشینیم و را تشویق کنیم و ترین هم کنیم، یک فایده میشه که کتی کارمندا یک روابط بسیار خوب و مثبت جور میشه. دیگه پلانینگ ما شما از جهتی کارهای کارمندا هم گفته میتونیم که ما برشان یک پلان جور کنیم که در اون پلان مثال به شکل هفته‌وار که یک بخشش از ترینینگ باشه و یک بخشش از کارهایشان باشه. مثال ما روزانه برش 4 ساعت ترینینگ میتیم، 3 ساعت یا 2 ساعت بعدی با ما میگیم که شما یاد عملی کار کنید. درست است؟ یا مثال برشان میگیم که در هفته 3 روز شما ترینینگ دارین و 2 روز یا 3 روز دیگه که میمانه در او شما کار کنید. So this depends on the policy of the organization, the strategy that the organization has in regards to the employee. So that is like different in one place and in the other. So we have talked about various techniques of training, physical class trainings, online trainings, face-to-face trainings, informal trainings. Those 3-4 trainings that we have just mentioned, physical, online, and those were like formal trainings. There could be informal trainings in the office, for example, or by telephone calls, or by recording video lectures, etc. That could also take place, and that could also be positive for the employees to work on. So since we are done with this lecture, in the next lecture, inshallah, we'll be discussing let people work. There are 3 to 4 other points that are remaining. We will be discussing each and every one of them. We have discussed 2 points today. These are very important. I have given you a lot of examples in enough explanation and description on how we can actually prioritize the activities. We can make the activities important activities first, and the daily activities at second. We should explain to the employees that what activities are important and what are not, and we have to give them a hand as well, because if you do not help the employees to understand what activities are important and what are not, that wouldn't make a sense, and that wouldn't lead to the success of the organization. So besides explaining to them, you have to help them, and you have to help them to have their focus on particular tasks that are important to us. Along with that, we have to train our employees. Along with the explanation, the training, we have discussed a lot of parts of the trainings that could be helpful, and along with that, we have to develop appropriate planning for the employees to understand the workflow, to comprehend how they can work. Because if there is no training at the beginning, the employees will like only waste their time for days and for months, but they will not understand. The trainings are especially important in financial areas, in audit, in finance, in human resource, sometimes in research areas as well, because these areas are something that are mostly different. For example, a financial system of one organization is different than the financial system of the other organization. The human resource system or application or software that one organization uses might be different of the other organization. So you see, things are for example, one organization uses a QuickBook, another organization uses a personalized software and application that they have used. So you see, there are variations in such things. So when you are hiring your employees, train them, give them time, so that they will be able to properly know things and prioritize their activities. So that's what we had for today, and inshallah we'll be discussing the other points, the point number 4 and 5 and others, inshallah, in the coming class. Thank you for your time. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.